wait, no. Deconverted man is here. I am here to sing, oh dear. If you're still here after I have sung, then you must like my stuff. Let's go along. I'll never sing again if you donate to me. All right. That's not true. I'd probably still sing if you gave me money. I don't know. Enough money and I'll stop doing it. All right. So morals. Yeah. I need God to be good. You're right, atheist. TheologyJeremy says he needs God to be good. I don't need God to be good. So why is that? Why does some people need God to be good and other people don't need God to be good? Well, you know, goodness, whatever that is, seems to be a thing that humans can do whether they believe in a God or not. And whether they believe in a version of God that other people do or don't do doesn't really seem to affect that outcome. But there are things that people who do or don't believe in God will do to each other or themselves that we might look at and say, well, that's bad. For example, the Aztecs back in the day would sacrifice people, chop off their heads, the head rolls down the stairs, very fancy, and that was celebrated. Like, I guess if you were the person that was going to get sacrificed, you were like super hyped to be the chosen one, maybe. I don't know. And, you know, I guess your friends and family were like, yeah, but also sad because you're going to die. Like, they're happy, but but also they're sad, you know. Or maybe it was just slaves that were sacrificed. I don't know. It's not clear to me. I'm no expert on this civilization and how it ran. But nonetheless, we point to that and go, yeah, that's not good. You're like, why are you sacrificing this person? Like, how does that benefit your society? Well, it benefited their society because, well, their religion was central to their society, and their religion demanded a human sacrifice. Could their religion change? Yes, it could, but it didn't, and their civilization collapsed. Was it because they included this idea, or was it for other factors? I don't know. Regardless, we look at that and go, you know, human sacrifice, you didn't need to do that. That really wasn't anything that really actually benefited you guys. I know that you believed that that benefited you in some way, shape, or form, but in actuality, it didn't, you know, do anything. It didn't please the gods, at least not in any testable, tangible way. You can believe that it pleased the gods to do this all you want, but you can't demonstrate that. And they're not the only ones that have sacrifice included in ritual. Other cultures had animal sacrifices, and some still have animal sacrifices. And so you lop off the head of a cow, and the cow's head goes down the stairs. Hey, at least it's not a human, and at least you can eat the meat of the animal, although some require that you sacrifice the animal completely to the god. You burn the whole thing up. So it's kind of a wasted cow. Well, at least you're doing it with the most yucky, disease-ridden cow. No, actually, some religions require you to pick the best cow to offer up as a sacrifice. This doesn't seem like a very good deal for the person putting up that sacrifice, because they could have used that cow to feed friends, family, and everybody else, and now it's just being killed for God. And so there's no benefit that we can tell that's going on here. Maybe there's a God that really likes the cow being sacrificed to it, but because we can't verify that, we can say that this sacrifice doesn't have a tangible result, but people did it anyways because of beliefs. So I think that it's fair to conclude then, people can hold beliefs that do not have a benefit to themselves and or society as a whole, and that those beliefs are dependent upon their belief in a particular version of a particular God. Having said all of that, good morning to Captain Desk, because he said hello in chat, so I need to say hi back. And almost said serial killer for some reason. That was last video. Don't worry about it. And let's check this video out, shall we?
Here's the honest truth. If I didn't believe in God, I would be a horrible person by human standards.
You are a bad, bad person.
I wouldn't be a net benefit to society. Instead, I'd put myself above everyone else.
Like I said, I'm selfish. Totally selfish.
You know, an atheist group once ran ads on New York City buses that said, you don't have to believe in God to be a moral or an ethical person. Well, here's the thing. I do. An atheist might respond to me and say, well, then you have the character problem because I don't need God to stop myself from stealing or hurting others. Fair enough, and I believe you. But let me tell you why I personally need God in order to be good.
Okay, so like I said, he's gonna explain to us why this is the case for him. But it's kind of hard for me to not say, in a way, I feel superior to him. Maybe I shouldn't, but I gotta be honest, I kind of do in this moment. I'm like, you sorry sack of potatoes. Sorry, you have to believe in that to be a good boy. I don't, it's like I feel sorry for him. Like he's a little kid that is doing good because they believe in Santa Claus, and they're doing good only because they believe in Santa Claus. They say, oh yeah, look, if I didn't believe in Santa Claus, I'd be a rotten son of a gun. And then all of a sudden the kid, one night they wake up and they go downstairs and they see that it's their parents. Their parents are putting the presents out. There's no Santa Claus. His worldview is wrecked. So now he knows there's no point in being good. So now he's a rotten, terrible brat. And his parents are like, don't you want Santa to bring you presents? And he's like, screw you guys. You're Santa. I know you're going to give me presents. And I'm like, we're not going to give you presents if you're a rotten brat. And like, all right, fine. Don't give me Don't give me him. My whole thing is ruined. You lied to me. I don't want to be good anymore. I want to be the spoiled brat I've always wanted to secretly be. And now I'm free to do so now that I don't believe in Santa Claus anymore. Now I'm going to be the authentic me that I always wanted to be. Well, you're not going to get any presents. So what? Now I get to be a jerk. Now I feel sad for little boy there. It's like, oh, he had to believe in Santa to be good, and now he's a jerk because he doesn't believe anymore. I feel bad for that person. But I shouldn't feel superior to that person. Like something in my brain says, no, deconverted man, you shouldn't elevate yourself because you're no better than they are. There's not a quantitative thing that you could logically assemble to show that you're better than somebody else just because you don't have this belief that makes you be good. But I'm just being honest. I do kind of feel a little bit superior to this guy. I don't need to believe in a God to do things that I think are good. Perhaps I am saving a step. Rather than believe God is good, I just believe good is good. And I don't need a God. I just believe in good. And that seems to work well enough for me at any rate. And it seems to work well enough for others as well. So how do I simmer down this emotional appeal that I have in myself of feeling superior to him? perhaps it comes off as smug or superior by saying, hey, look, you don't need God to be good. It's like, well, you don't. You don't need God to be good. But this guy's saying, yes, I do. And like he's going to be proud of it, like happy and ecstatic about it. Okay, well, let's give him the benefit of the doubt. His reasoning must be really, really good then. And honestly, ideally, I must separate my emotional desires to the side to do good logic. And that means putting this self-satisfied smugness that I have about feeling superior to him in this moment to the side. I know that that's something I need to work on. I'm not sure exactly how to do that right now, but I'll deal with that feeling later. And I'll just focus on the logical argument made here, if any. Or at least I'll try to.
The reason I need God to be good is simple. I live my life according to my worldview. See, when I discover something that is true, I change my life to align with it. I can't live with an inconsistent worldview. For example, as a Christian, I believe that humans are created in the image of God and therefore have inherent worth and value. I also believe that God has given us dominion over the animals and provided them as food for us. These beliefs shape my actions, so I treat humans as valuable, defend the unborn, and eat meat, living in a way that reflects both the dignity of human life and the rightful use of animals according to God's design.
Okay, those things seem to follow. You want to do something that's consistent with your worldview, and living by your worldview is something that hopefully we do. There's nothing to say that you can't be inconsistent, because people are inconsistent all the time. In fact, being a hypocrite isn't a logical fallacy. Yeah, I know, it should be, shouldn't it? It feels like it needs to be, but it isn't. So, in fact, there's an opposite fallacy. If I say, hey, drinking soda is bad for you, and then proceed to drink soda, it doesn't negate the fact that drinking soda is bad for you. And to point out that I'm doing a hypocritical thing is actually a tu que, a you as well fallacy. But you're drinking soda. Yeah, I know. But it's still bad for you if you drink too much of it. Or maybe just in general. But I'm still gonna do it. So being a hypocrite isn't a logical fallacy. But ideally, following your ethics is a good thing to do. And being consistent is a good thing to do. But are you really consistent in your worldview? Here's some potential problems that I see with this idea. You're not really told every single thing that you would need to be told, at least from the Bible, of what to behave like in life. You see, treat animals the way they're meant to be treated. But does it really say how to treat animals in the Bible? Unless you're doing kosher, then no, you're not actually treating animals the way that you're supposed to treat them according to the Bible. There are certain ways that you must sacrifice animals and also butcher them that you're probably not abiding by and that you probably don't care about at all. So unless you're eating kosher, you're not following the God-given rule set that's outlined in 613 commandments. And you're not sacrificing animals to God anymore. Now, there's no temple, and so the Jewish people have another belief to replace the sacrificial animals, but I doubt that you're following that practice either. So you're not really doing what the Bible is telling you to do. So you're not actually following the practices that are outlined by the Bible. Many of them are impractical in today's society. If you're eating bacon at all, you're doing evil, period. Do you eat anything that has a shell on it? Yeah, eat lobsters, burn in hell, baby. Also shrimp. But I only care about lobsters. Don't worry about it. It's an inside joke, just like the serial killer thing I'm not supposed to talk about anymore. All right, so inside jokes. Okay, so the point is you don't really actually follow what the Bible really outlines for you, and I personally see that as a problem because you're not really being consistent with your worldview. You're being consistent with parts of your worldview that you want to be consistent with, but you're still not really getting any information from the Bible of how to treat animals from the Bible. It doesn't say how to treat them. It doesn't say what to feed them, how to house them, how to slaughter them. Well, actually it does, but you don't follow those practices. It doesn't tell you how to deal with those things. So where do you then get the ideas that you have about how to treat animals? Not from the Bible, so it must be from humans. Humans that are flawed creatures that have different ideas about how to treat animals. Some have farm fresh versus factory farms. And so free roaming animals versus, not free roaming animals. And so are you spending more money on products that you've done the research into to make sure that the animals are being treated in a certain way? If not, then you are being a hypocrite. You're not really being nice to the animals. But then again, you're not being a hypocrite because the Bible doesn't say how you're supposed to treat the animals. So you're free to do whatever the hell you want with the animals. All the animals, I guess, since it doesn't tell you how to treat them. So then you can't tell us that you're living by what God wants you to live by, since God never really said how to treat animals other than the things that you don't listen to anyways. Oops. That's just one problem that I see in this. But I'm sure there will be others. So let's look at it and find out what those ideas are that I have problems with of the. Also, words are hard to say sometimes.
The point is that my actions in life flow directly from my beliefs. I aim to live in a way that is consistent with what I believe to be true. But now, what if I didn't believe in God? Well, if I stopped believing, I couldn't just continue living as if the Christian worldview were true. I need to align my actions with my new set of beliefs. So without God, I wouldn't believe that humans are fundamentally different from animals.
Okay, so now I think that this is the true, actual message of the video. That he's not really here to tell us why he needs God to be good. He's really here to tell us what he thinks atheists should be doing. I could be wrong about that, but I think that's what's going on here. My version of how I would behave as an atheist is the following straw man that I'm going to construct for you. And since atheists don't do that, well, then they're not true atheists, or, well, they secretly believe in God, or something like that. Even though he's not explicitly saying those things, I think the underlying message is there. They should be treating each other like this, but they're not. Why? There's like a mystery there, right? So this straw man construct of what he thinks he would behave as if he stopped believing in God, it could actually be true. This could actually be his honest thoughts regarding this matter. I'm not saying that it isn't, but I am digging into a potential another reason why he's saying this at all, which is I think that he's trying to say that the atheist view of reality or atheist worldview, even though there isn't one, would lead to certain conclusions about reality. Now, I found to be true for myself when I deconverted that I did have to find an ethical system outside of divine command theory, DCT. And I've made a video called DCT that outlines the number of problems with that system, but I found a different ethical system. It still has problems, but it doesn't have as many problems as DCT did. So, yeah, I had to find a way to view the world and understand it, at least regarding ethics. I also read a book called Idiot or Dummy's Guide to Ethics, one of those dummies books they have. They're yellow, those are great books. They're really well written. Like, I don't know of any that aren't, one of them might be, but they're pretty good books, and they're easily understood and, all that. So anyway, so I read that book and I was like, okay, now I understand ethics more than I did going in. And that's kind of the point of it. It's kind of an intro into it. But I also had found other things to establish how to understand things and look at things and analyze things. So my beliefs did absolutely change when I deconverted. But I also noticed that things that I believed that were linked to the things that I believed about God went away. And this idea that he's promoting here is actually an idea that is linked to his God belief idea. He just doesn't realize that yet. And if and when he ever did deconvert, it would go away instantly. The idea that we're animals is absolutely, totally true. We are animals. We are different than the other animals, and as different from other animals as animals are different from each other. So we are different than animals, but animals are also different than other animals. So yes, there is a distinction. And yes, we treat each other differently than we do other animals. And we do so because we're speciesism specific. We're very speciesist. We like humans more than other animals, broadly speaking. Some people might like their pets more than other humans, but, like I said, broadly speaking, you're in the trolley problem and it's like you have to hit your dog or you have to hit some random stranger. Some people might pick the random stranger because they know their dog and they love their dog. I would kill the dog because I hate dogs. But nonetheless, the point is, broadly speaking, we're very species specific and we care about other humans and elevate them above other animals. And we do that because we recognize that, of course, we're going to do that because we want to propagate and survive as a species. So it flows directly from observation. There's nothing inconsistent with treating each other as animals that we are. But we're also sophisticated animals that have specialized ways of dealing with each other. And the ways that we deal with each other are animal behaviors. Have you ever yelled at anyone ever in your entire life? I would gamble and say you probably have. Why do humans yell? This is really interesting. Go look up, why do humans yell? Why do we get loud? Why do we scream at each other? Now, there's lots about that online, but here's one thought that just comes from little old me, and what do I know? But I think that it's similar to why lions roar. Roar! It's a warning. It's a fear tactic. It makes the other lions be afraid. It asserts dominance. When I'm yelling at you, I puff up and I get big and I get red and I get I'm intimidating you. I'm trying to assert dominance over you. I'm yelling to be a threat, to be scary. So why? That's purely animalistic. I don't have to yell to get my point across. In fact, it might be better if I didn't yell. Because, well, I'm giving into my animal nature, which, well, that's human nature, because we are animals. But we're not just animals in the sense of that we don't look at ourselves in that way of, I can kick a dog around, but I'm not going to kick a person around. Well, I shouldn't kick a dog around either, right? Like, how I treat animals also is a reflection of how I look at living creatures in general. And we typically view people that treat animals in bizarre ways as being something off in their mentality. You know, if little Johnny brings home a dead bird once, okay, that's kind of weird. But if he's killing birds and chopping their heads off and keeping them as trophies in his room, you might want to get a psychologist or two for little Johnny there. Because something's wrong with little Johnny. And before you know it, he's going to be getting through that door saying, "Here's Johnny." And then he's going to become a robot and be number 5. Okay, he's not. Never mind. Anyways, back to the video. That didn't make sense at all.
The theory of evolution tells us that we all share the same source, and the only thing separating us is time and environment. So there wouldn't be any inherent difference in value between humans and other animals. We're all
objectively, that's not true, because there is differences between us and other animals. Lots of differences.
just stardust at different stages of evolution.
The ingredients in our bodies were assembled in the hearts of long dead stars over billions of years.
I'd look at the history of evolution and conclude that it's a survival of the fittest world. The weak die, the strong survive, and the universe doesn't care what happens.
Well, broadly speaking, that's true, but in our societies, we've tried to construct it such so that the weak can survive and thrive. I mean, you're making a video. See what I did there? I implied that he was weak, and then I stuck out my tongue at him. Remember I said I was going to set aside my emotions? Yeah, I forgot about that, and I let them back in. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry. Okay, anyways. But yeah, we are Stardust. And that's pretty amazing. And yet we treat each other with respect and dignity, broadly speaking, because we want respect and dignity. So in many ways, our efforts to encourage each other is selfish. And that's how it is, objectively speaking. So rather than lead to a negative conclusion, this actually leads to a positive conclusion. But why do you suggest, it seems like you're suggesting evolution isn't true to some degree here. I don't know.
See, right now, if a mouse enters my home, I'll set a trap. And if I see a spider or a wasp, I'll squash it. I don't hesitate because in my worldview, insects and rodents don't have the same worth as humans.
And if I snuck into your house, you'd probably kill me as an intruder. And you'd probably do so without any hesitation or a second thought. Later on, you might feel guilty, but in the moment, no way. But we're not insects, and we're not other creatures. So yes, we're speciesist. That is perfectly in line with what evolution is. Your conclusions are just wrong.
I'm not doing something ethically wrong to end their life because they're inconveniencing mine. They have no rights in the same way that people do. But now, if I didn't believe in God, I'd have no reason to treat humans differently than animals, because according to a purely naturalistic view, that's exactly what we are.
So, like I said, these beliefs are tied to his current beliefs in God and how he views the universe through that lens. These beliefs would melt away the moment he stopped believing in God. At least I hope they would. They did for me, but that doesn't mean that they will for everybody. And other people I know have reported similar situations where ideas they had about people went away when they stopped believing in God. Like they thought, it's bad to be this or that way, or it's a sin to be a homosexual or whatever. Well, that obviously is going to vanish if you don't believe in God anymore, you don't believe in sin anymore. Then you can't believe that certain people are sinful or that people are sinful by nature. In fact, your whole premise that people are inherently good is actually flawed according to the Christian view. We're actually sin-filled people that are only redeemed and worth anything because Jesus covers us in blood. We're terrible, despicable creatures that God just can't stand. But thanks to the blood of Jesus, he can bear to look at us, but only barely. We're not worth anything, but it's only through the grace of God that we managed to squeak by, but it's nothing that we did, it's everything that Jesus did. So, more glory to God. I'm worthless. God is everything. Yay! So much for self-value in that system. It doesn't exist. But some Christians are more cheerful than others, and some Christians don't have that view of humanity, even though it says to do that in the Bible. But who cares what the Bible says? We'll just pick and choose what we want to be true, because that's religion for you. But this idea that I would just treat people like animals, you do treat people like animals. We treat each other like animals all the time. It's just that our way of treating each other is a different way than other animals treat each other. More sophisticated, more nuanced, more complex. Our interactions are more detailed than other primates. And you watch primates, civil as, them interacting with each other. They play, they joke around, they get mad at each other, they have fights, and those things are resolved fairly quickly. They're resolved in very much the same manner as we might resolve them. They punch each other, or they just kind of at each other, and and then one backs down and the other one wins. And there's mimicry of that in humans because we are still apes. So we do treat each other as animals do because we are still animals. The treatment that we have towards each other is, of course, going to be different to the treatment that we have to other creatures. Now, if you found a cat in your house, would you set a trap for it? Maybe. Would it be lethal, though? Probably not, because you're elevating the cat above what you would a mouse or a rat. Why? I don't know. Arbitrary reasons. It doesn't say to do that in the Bible, but we treat certain animals in a different way than we do other animals. And insects, hell, with insects, we barely care at all. Like you said, we just smash them to pieces. We don't think twice about it or even once about it. But what we don't do is we don't capture the insect and then torture the thing, because that would just be twisted. So there are limits to what we would or wouldn't do, even to creatures that we don't really seem to care that much about. See, there's a limit of what I do to other humans because I have limits that are self-imposed from me, by me, because I think that they are good limits to have. Also, there are things I just don't want to do. I don't want to hurt other people. I might do that accidentally or even deliberately if my anger gets out of control, but I don't want to do it. You're saying that you do want to do it, and that the only thing holding you back from being a major asshole is this belief in God. And your belief that's conjoined with that if you stop believing in God, that you would behave in these ways that you're outlining now. But these two are just beliefs that you have. They're not true, and they're not valid, nor do they actually flow from actual observation of reality. But you can't see that now because you believe these things because you also believe in God. I don't believe in God, so I can see things, well, I don't want to say more clearly, but I guess that's really the only way I can put it. So, yeah, I see things more clearly than you right now, at least in this regard.
You're teaching that humans are animals? Are we animals?
Yeah. I would no longer have a base.
Wow. Nice cherry pick there. Yes, we're animals. There was more to that conversation, but who cares?
Is to treat people as inherently valuable. I mean, I could if I thought it was valuable for me to do so, and if you're an atheist watching this, that's probably what you do.
That's probably what you do. You do it because it's valuable for you to do. Yeah, also other reasons. Also, I gotta say, your music's way too loud, man. Can you just turn it down or even off? Why do theists keep doing this with music in their backgrounds? It doesn't add anything. It's just distracting. Get rid of the music. I don't want it anymore. It's annoying. Oh, okay. All right. I treat people, or try to treat people, in a way that I view as good. And I don't know if I'm doing that for selfish reasons or not. I have no idea, to be honest. I guess sometimes I do, but I don't think about it in that way. I don't really look at it in that way. But I suppose you could drill down and you could look at the selfish gene and say, hey, objectively, we're all doing good to each other because we want it for ourselves. It's like, yeah, and so what? Like, that doesn't change anything. We're still treating each other nice, so who cares if it's just ultimately selfish? Does it really matter? I don't know. Whatever is true regardless. So, I don't know. It's just, it's more of this is how atheists ought to behave. But isn't it interesting atheists don't behave this terrible, horrible, awful way that I'm describing? Almost as if this is a construct straw man that nobody would behave this way. But see, you're an atheist, so you're just doing it for selfish reasons. And I say, okay, I'm doing it for selfish reasons. What's your argument? Because you don't have an argument. I'll accept your complete and total insult of me in full and say, yeah, I'm doing it for selfish reasons. And so what? That doesn't mean anything. That doesn't change anything. It doesn't prove that you're right and I'm wrong. It doesn't prove that there's a God, by the way. Not that this video is attempting to do that. Nor does it show that believing in a God is better than not believing in a God, because you're believing in God for selfish reasons. I could say the same to you. Yeah, you want to live forever. That's why you believe in God. I could say that. Now, maybe that is why you believe in God, but maybe it's not. Maybe I should reserve what I think you think in my own head and not say it out loud, because I don't know what you actually think. I don't actually know what you feel. And so I'm not going to insert those feelings and thoughts into your, as if they're coming from you. Okay? I'm not going to do that. Maybe I should try to expunge it from my brain as well. But my point is, don't project onto me that I'm doing things for a certain reason unless you can demonstrate that I'm doing things for a certain reason, which you can't and you haven't. You're served.
But I wouldn't have a reason to treat people well if I didn't feel like it. See, I couldn't believe as an atheist while still living my life as if Christianity were true. Instead, I would need to live consistently with my new set of beliefs. So if I rejected God, I'd also have to reject the idea of human rights.
No! Because you know where human rights comes from? Humans! It's not called God rights, it's called human rights. So, no, you wouldn't have to reject human rights. You just stop believing in God and go, are human rights still real? I don't know. Are humans still real? Oh, wait. I'm a human. Yeah, human rights are still real. I don't have to reject this at all. It's almost like what I said is wrong. Okay. I don't fine now.
Otherwise, I'd be living a contradiction, acting like people have value when, according to my new beliefs, they actually don't. There are
Humans have value without God. But with God, depends on which God you have. With the Christian God, oh, no. Your value is completely about God and nothing to do with you because you have no value. Again, depending on what kind of Christian you are. Depending on what religion you are, you may or may not have value, objectively speaking. A Hindu's desire for nirvana, which is a rejoining of the collective nothingness of the universe. So your value is in not existing eventually. And that's where your value is. I don't know how to make sense of that, and I probably am getting it wrong to some degree, but okay. And other religions have other ideas about what your value is, relationship to eternity, God, and so on and so forth. But the true value of you still comes from humans, because no religion has yet to demonstrate that any of its ideas come from an actual God. They all seem to be man-made by humans. Humans made up these ideas. They just added another layer to it called God and then said that makes them unquestionable because it's coming from God. It's not coming from me. Sure, you could question me, but it's coming from God. You can't question God. Well, yes, you can, and you absolutely should in every conceivable way. So yeah, do that. I don't know what my point was anymore. I had a point, and then I don't know. I don't know anymore. Let's go back to the video. Yeah, that's all I'll do.
always consequences to one's beliefs. Because Christianity is true, I can live a good life that aligns with the truth.
Because Christianity is false, you can align your beliefs with something that is false. Got it. Oh, but you believe it's true, but you don't actually live a Christian life. I know, it's amazing. How can I possibly justify that statement? Well, I can't, but I can just say it. Yeah, you can just say stuff. Actually, there is a list in the Bible of what to expect from a Christian. So, I noticed some stuff in the background there. Looks like a washer or dryer or a small refrigerator with a bunch of stickers on it. And above that's like a stereo or something. And over to the right of, well, my right, your left, is a bunch of, doors that have stuff inside them probably. Yeah, that's interesting. Why has that not all been sold to pay for orphans and widows again? Oh, right, because you didn't sell all your possessions to follow Jesus, even though it said that you should do that. Well, that verse is actually just talking to that one guy. It doesn't mean that all Christians should do that, but it doesn't say that all Christians shouldn't do that. So what do you do? I don't know. Well, at least you're giving 10% all the time to church, right? Like your income, you always do the tithe correctly, right? And you'd be willing to share that info with us so that we can verify that you're truly living by that, right? No, you'd rather keep your financial records to yourself? Oh, no surprise there. Or maybe you don't donate 10% to a church, which means you're not living by the standards. But also, Jesus did say that you're supposed to treat others the way you want to be treated. So right now, you're treating me as a straw man. So obviously, you want to be treated as a straw man, right? That's how that works. Except, of course, it doesn't really work under those conditions, but that's how I'll interpret it. And that's the problem, isn't it? The whole entire Judeo-Christian Bible is up to interpretation. You, a human, have to decide how to view X, Y, and Z. You're going to come to different conclusions than some other Christian's going to come to. That's why there's so many denominations out there, many of which have conflicting views. Some don't believe Jesus is God at all. Some don't believe that Jesus is God's son. Some believe that you have to be baptized in a certain way or it doesn't matter. Some believe you have to speak with the tongues or it doesn't count. Everyone has different beliefs, and don't even get me started on what the black Israelites believe. Ho ho, you want some wacky beliefs there? Get ready for Jesus to be black and for you to only be saved if you're black or something, I guess. The point is, you said that Christianity is true, so you can live by it since it's true. Kind of circular. Now, atheism to me is true, but only because I don't believe in God, so that makes me an atheist, and that's a true statement. As far as there not being a God, well, I don't even know what God is necessarily, so I can't really say there's no God. I can say there's no Yahweh, and I can make direct arguments against Yahweh, but other versions of God, well, I have to make different arguments for those versions of God. So it just depends on what you think God is, and then I can make an argument against that God. But maybe out there somewhere, there's a thing that we would point to and say, that's God. But I haven't seen it yet. I haven't encountered it, and nor has a lot of people. And I don't think you have either. Because you think that without that thing, you would treat people in a disrespectful manner. Yet, here I stand, not doing that. And I don't need God. So, there's something wrong with you. It is a character flaw. And I guess, yeah, that makes me better than you. At least to some degree. But again, I'm trying to put that emotion to the side so I can do pure logic. But you're making it really hard.
It gives me a framework to understand why humans are valuable and why we should treat others with dignity and respect. But without God, I'd lose that framework. I'd lose the ability to justify why humans deserve anything more than animals. Death is just part of the process of evolution. The universe doesn't care, and all history is going to be forgotten with the death of the sun. There's no objective morals and no judge I'm going to face after death.
Yeah. That's reality, buddy. As far as facing a judge after death, let's talk about that for a moment, because none of the things you do in life absolutely matter at all as long as you are forgiven by God, right? So you could go out and commit horrible, heinous murder and rape and whatever, a whole bunch of people, men, women, children, whatever. You could destroy things left, right, up and down. Buildings, personal property, people, animals, whatever. You can do all of that. You can eat them as you kill them and rape them. Torture them all you want. Do whatever atrocities come your way until you are finally stopped. And you'd still be allowed into heaven as long as you asked for forgiveness and believed in Jesus sincerely. So you're not actually being judged. You're being found innocent. Completely of all the things that you did. But the person that did a good life, that lived without killing thousands of people, maybe they made a mistake here or there. You know, maybe they upset somebody occasionally, but otherwise they were a pretty good person. Donated money and time to charity, tried to help out people however they could with whatever resources they had, spent nothing but their entire life helping the sick and feeding the poor, only to die and then face eternal damnation because they didn't believe in Jesus. That's not justice. That's sick and twisted. You don't have celestial judgment. You have celestial exception. If you're on board, you get in. If you're not on board, you get out. It's not about what you did. That's Zoroastrianism that you're thinking of there, buddy. So are you a Zoroastrian or a Christian? Because you're starting to sound like a Zoroastrian. See, in Zoroastrianism, it is based upon what you do that's good or bad in life. And there's like a seesaw sort of thing. And the more good you do, the more lined up you are to go up. The more bad you do, the more you slide down towards the bad place, which is always down for some reason. I don't know. But yeah, so that's Zoroastrianism. That would be a true celestial justice. In fact, I'll outline one for you. For everything that I have ever done in my life that led to somebody having a positive experience, I would then get to or have to experience that. So, like, I help somebody by smiling at them, let's say. And I feel what that person felt for as long as they felt that. And then I move on to the next experience, and the next, and the next, and whatever. So that I would experience all the kindness and love and goodness that I inflicted upon the world. And maybe not just humans, but other animals, and maybe even insects as well. And then, whatever bad stuff I did, I'd have to also experience all that as well. Now, maybe it'd be I get to experience some bad, then some good, then some bad, then some good, or whatever. But eventually, one's going to win over the other, and I'm going to have more good or bad experiences at the end, depending on how many people I affected positively or negatively. And hey, that's what I produced in the world, so that's what I am judged as. That would be true celestial judgment. After which, that would be it. I'd be done. There'd be nothing more to do to me because I would have experienced all the good and bad that I've inflicted upon the world. And then, I don't know what would happen. Either I'd keep existing or be like, okay, you're done. You've now suffered the consequence and the rewards. What do you think of all that? Maybe there's some lesson to learn or whatever. I don't know. But there you go. There's a more coherent system of justice that I have laid out than is laid out in Christianity. So don't pretend that you have a celestial judgment system when you absolutely don't.
In the end, nothing really matters.
As life is meaningless, death is inevitable.
So while others might claim that they can be good without God, I can't. I need God to be good because my beliefs shape my actions.
Well, you're right. Your beliefs do shape your actions to some extent. Maybe fully, I don't know. But when I stop believing in God, I also stop believing in the sort of things that you believe in. So if you did stop believing in God, you'd also lose these beliefs that you hold on to right now. And you have these beliefs only because they're connected to your belief in God. Your idea about how to treat other people and how to value them, etc., all of that is tied to your ideas of God. And once you lose those ideas, you'll find there's other ideas that are much better.
And if I abandoned my belief in God, my behavior would change in a much more self-centered way because I refuse to live a lie. For a book recommendation, I want to highlight the best book on
I love that little ending, poisoning of the well there. I refuse to live a lie. The unstated thing there is, of course, you atheists are living a lie because you're not treating each other badly. So because you're treating each other good, then you're living a lie. See, you should treat each other like monsters. But we don't. And we're not living a lie. Isn't that interesting? But he can't reconcile that in his brain. He has cognitive dissonance. And so he comes up with this construct strawman of what he thinks he would be like if he stopped believing in God. And he's not the only believer that has ever done this. I believe Ray Comfort did it once upon a time where he was like, I'd go rape and kill people. And Rick Gervais shot back later on with, yeah, I'm doing that to as many people as I want, which is 0. So maybe Ray Comfort really does want to rape and kill people, but it's just held back by his belief in God. So that's kind of scary. But I don't think that that's really true. I think that that's just something that they believe is true in order to help them hold on to the belief in God. Reinforcing your idea of God is this fear that not believing in God will lead to terrible, horrible consequences. And so that enables your brain to lock down that belief in God. Because if you don't believe in it, you'll do terrible things. But of course, that belief is as untrue and as unjustified as the idea that you hold about God. Now, there are more logical approaches to God that you could take, but you don't have that in this video. So I can't comment on those approaches. All I can do is comment on the illogic that you've presented us here. I would behave badly if I didn't believe in God. And then I outline how badly I'd be and then declare, but I want to live truthfully. But you don't actually live truthfully. You live dishonestly. You don't actually live by the Bible's orders. You live by your own orders and ideas. You don't actually live by what God wants for you because God doesn't tell you how to do this, that, and the other thing. God has nothing to say about television sets or microwave ovens. Tells you nothing about refrigeration, how to use freezers, refrigerators, or how to drive a motor vehicle. Because God is silent on modern issues because this book is old and static and doesn't change and doesn't adapt to the times that we're in. It says nothing about nuclear power or what to do about greenhouse gases. It tells you nothing about anything in our modern day. You did mention, of course, that you value people's rights to live, alluding to abortion. And you want to make it that, I guess, that abortion is illegal, which is then taking away people's rights to decide how to treat their own body to some degree, isn't it? But it only matters because, well, life matters, but not their life, the other life. So the other life that isn't yet a life, well, it is a life, but it's inside their body. That life matters more than the life here that's here now, right? Because the woman's life, that doesn't matter. The other life matters. We need to make her have that other life whether she wants it or not. And then what happens to that other life afterwards? Who cares? Now, I would have some support for this idea if you would also include the idea that we need to advance science to find new ways to make it so that people that are pregnant don't have to abort to not have to deal with the kid anymore. Like some safe way we could go in there and take out the fetus that wouldn't hurt the mother at all and like place it in an artificial womb or something. But then there still might be people that are like, yeah, but I don't want that thing to exist. And if it's their DNA, don't they get to decide what happens to it to some degree? I don't know. I don't have the answers for that, but my point is, you're not advocating for science to enhance our living with ways that could, like, maybe there'd be like a thing in my brain I could program that would turn off my reproductive ability. I'd still be able to have sex, but I wouldn't be able to get anybody pregnant. That would be cool. And then I could turn it off and on in my own brain at my own desire. And that not just men, but women could do it too. And that'd be pretty awesome. And then if you did wind up pregnant, then it really is your fault because you obviously had to turn it on. Then I could see it being a law that you had to keep the kid. And only then. But we're not at that technological level. So right now it seems that abortion, as much as I don't like the idea, it seems like it has to be a thing until we have a scientific way to do different. The religious don't seem to advocate for science that would make it so that we wouldn't have to do it, which is really weird to me. That's like really inconsistent. But again, who cares? We don't need to be consistent. We just need to preach that my way is better than your way, which is what he's doing. But also what I did in a way. I said I'm better than him because I don't need God to be good. And I thought that that was better. And I expressed to you how I think that thinking that is wrong. And I don't know what to do about that. So why do I believe that I'm better for not needing a God to be good? I don't know. That's an open-ended question. Maybe you guys, girls and robots, can tell me in the comments that will appear once this is not a live video, and it will be the comment section where you can post stuff and be like, this is an idea, Deconverted Man, of how to figure out your feelings on this, blah, blah, whatever, That'd be great. Anyways, I've seen a lot of people in the side chat having their own universe going on as I said all the things I said about this video, and I don't care what book recommendation he has there at the end, so I'm not going to play that. And the rest of it is just the outro, I guess. So, yeah, it's just a book recommendation. Hey, look, I don't care what book it is. Anyways, so, yeah, that's all I've got for now. He did not have any empirical evidence or any repeatable test, and he certainly didn't have a valid and sound argument. But what he did have was a lot of straw manning of what he thinks an atheist should do, but no atheist actually does. And I guess his end message is that the atheist is living a lie because they're not moral monsters. What an asshole. But he believes these things because he believes in God, I guess. But I don't. I don't believe in God. I don't believe that we should treat people this way. Huh. I don't know. I'm his counterfactual, and I wonder if he'll ever respond to this video. It's a short video, so I don't see why he wouldn't. Wait, it's an hour? Damn it! How did I do that again? Every single time! Anyway, thanks for watching. Let's say hi to chat real quick, and then I'll end it. I'll just say names. I won't necessarily read anything. I might. Captive Desk. Nitty. The Trusty Ape. Let's see. Let's see if I B.S. Lewis. ALC. Jeremy Mitchell. I'll respond to this comment with this video. And looking for a video that I made. Looking for a video I made. Here's the video that I made. Here's my response to it. It's called Don't Pray For Me. Don't pray for me. That's the name of the video. Do not pray for me. This is my video that I made. Tells you not to pray for me. Don't do it. Don't do it. I don't want it. So will you quit? Anyways. And then God's Node. God is so real, brother. Please come back to Jesus Christ. No, I'm good. Television set. He talks about moderation. So, it's not about TVs, though. So, God doesn't talk about TVs. It doesn't negate my point. Oh, it talks about moderation. Have all things in moderation. Okay. But what do I do about TV? Is having a TV good or bad? I don't know. God doesn't say. What else? What else? What else? Anyone else? No, that's it. That's all the people that were in side chat. So thanks for having conversations in side chat. I appreciate it. I see you. I acknowledge you. But it doesn't help me on YouTube because YouTube only cares about the comments. So leave a little comment if you feel like it. And if not, fine, whatever. I don't care anymore. I'm not going to bringing it up. Except I said that last time, I think. Pretty sure. I don't remember. I do remember going off and explaining that if you combine certain words, you can get other words. And I'm pretty sure this was my idea, and it didn't come from anyone else. It was my idea, this brilliant idea, that you could combine words together and get new words from it. Like the Trusty Ape, see, what you do is you, like, combine the words together, and, oh, this will make sense. What are you doing? No, you can't hit the button. No, wait, I'm not done explaining it. Yeah, I did it last video, but if you weren't there for that, you're not in the intro. Oh, let me explain it. No, don't have the stream. No.